So, you've heard me say that we are a Christocentric church, a Jesus following church. Why Jesus? Who is Jesus? And why do we follow him? And what does that mean for other religions and how we think about them? Well, there are volumes and volumes of written work that has been created over the centuries, wondering more and more about who Jesus was and what was his makeup. We know that he was a significant man who made a massive impact, that he was a religious man. Some people see him as just a rabbi, a mystical teacher, and all that. What I'll tell you about, how I understand Jesus, I think I look at it a little bit differently, but what I do want to tell you is that there's room wherever you are and you're figuring out who Jesus is in terms of, using fancy titles like Son of God, Son of Man. Was he all God? Was he half God? Was he just more like us human beings, but dialed into God? Wherever you are on that spectrum, you're welcome at Crosswalk. These are questions you are not going to settle on for the rest of your life. Nobody had a video camera out to see exactly, how everything went down. So we're left with tradition and experience, and that's why there are so many volumes written about him. But we are a Jesus-following church, like I've said. Here's what I know for sure, that sometime after Jesus' baptism, which was a profound spiritual experience for him, everything changed. He was somewhere around 34, 36 years old at that time when he was baptized, and whatever thing happened to him, he went from being a day labor carpenter, which is how he made his living, to being an itinerant preacher that went around the countryside talking about God and faith and how to see the world differently, interpreting scripture differently. We're not exactly sure how much formal training he had. He was called a rabbi, but that title rabbi didn't really mean the same thing until decades after Jesus was around. So it's kind of a posthumous title given how smart he was and how much wisdom he had to share. Third-party sources talked about him as being a magician, which means he was a healer. So obviously, this guy was dialed in, right? And the Spirit of God was doing great things. That's what we want to focus on. We can muse about the other things and what those things mean all day long, and I love talking about that. So we can grab coffee and talk about that if you like. What does it mean for other world religions? Well, here's the thing. God is very big, and if God really is all about love and wanting to reach out to all people, God is going to use whatever avenue is available to communicate and to talk to people. So I believe that other enduring religious traditions and even non-theistic traditions, the Spirit of God has used and is still using to try to reach people, to help them know that they are deeply and profoundly loved, which means they have an inherent value, and so is everybody else. That means we're going to treat ourselves with dignity and respect if we really get that, and it means we're going to treat others with dignity and respect. Jesus, by the way, he gave a nod to this. He said, talking about himself as a shepherd, he said, hey, people are going to catch my voice. My sheep are going to hear my voice. But then he also said that, there are other sheep with other flocks that are going to hear this too. And I think what he's talking about there is that other people from other traditions are also dialing into God, and that's okay. That's actually wonderful. And so rather than, say it's my way or the highway, which I know that some churches talk about it that way, I don't think that really jibes with the character and nature of Jesus that we saw. He was wonderfully gracious, with even, I've talked about the Samaritan woman that he had a conversation with. That was crazy that he even had a conversation and didn't get into a theological fight. You know what he said to this Samaritan woman? And these traditions couldn't have hated each other more. And when she wanted to pick a theological fight, he just simply said, you know what? True worshipers worship God in spirit and in truth. Well, if that's how Jesus felt about it, that's what I'm going with. So, like I said, Crosswalk, we're going to be a Christian church deep into the future. As long as I'm here, anyway, that's how we're going to be, and I'm guessing that's how it's always going to be. That means we're going to follow Jesus to the best of our ability. But at the same time, We're going to respect our brothers and sisters from other enduring traditions and thank God for them because they're doing good work. I know the imam in town, and I know his heart. I know the rabbi in town. I know his heart. I know the Unitarian Universalist pastor in town. I know her heart. I know the pastor of the Center for Spiritual Living in Napa. I know his heart. A dear friend of mine is a Zen Buddhist priest. I know her heart. These are shalom-focused people. They may use different languages, but they are all about love. I think they are sourced from the same source that I am. I think they are called by the same God I am to deliver good news of hope and joy and love for all people. I can talk forever about this. If you want to grab a cup of coffee, we can do that. Otherwise, I hope this was helpful. See you around the farm.